In this video, we're going to go over how to create an assignment using Moodle 4.0. There have been some updates to this particular feature as well, which I'm going to point out as we move along and learn how to use it. The assignment feature is a great option for you to have for your students if you're looking for them to submit a paper, or you can also use the online text option, which provides the students with an empty box that they can enter text in, maybe in the answer to a question or any kind of information like that. So to start, we're going to turn our editing mode on in the upper right-hand corner and scroll down to the part of the course where we want to put this assignment. So we'll put it here in week 2, choose add an activity or resource, and choose assignment. In the first spot here for assignment name, you're going to put the title of your assignment. Next is going to be one of the first changes or updates to the assignment feature. Previously, you would put the instructions here in the description section. Now you have a designated space in which to put the activity instructions here in this box. Now these instructions are only going to display once the student begins the assignment. So they're going to have a button there that says begin assignment, and once they do that, they'll be able to see what you want them to do. And you can be as detailed as you like in this box, because that way the student will know exactly what they need to do for the assignment. Here under additional files, this is where you're going to include anything extra that you want to go along with your assignment. So if you're asking the students to refer to a particular article or maybe a photograph, anything like that, you can use the file picker or the drag and drop method to put those items into here. Here under availability, this is where you're going to put all the dates and the times that are associated with your assignment. So allow submissions from is telling Moodle when you want the students to be able to access this assignment. And all of these items right now that are checked off as enable are things that you are deciding to use. If you find that you don't want to put a due date or you don't want to use any of these features, you can simply uncheck it to disable it. So for allow submissions from, I'm going to leave that as the date that it is. For time, if you have a particular time you want to use, just keep in mind that this is going to be Army time. Here under due date is where you're going to put when you want this assignment to be due. And keep in mind now, if we have a due date set for March 9th, the student submits it on March 10th, Moodle is still going to accept it, but it's going to mark it as late. If you don't want to accept late submissions, you can enable the cutoff date here, putting the last possible date and time that you'll accept this assignment. If you want to be reminded to grade this assignment, you can enable this feature. I'm going to disable it because I don't need it. And here under time limit, this is going to be our next new feature for 4.0. Previously, you could only put a time limit on quizzes, and now you can put a time limit on assignments. So this works similar to due date, where if you enable it and you put the time in here, once the time lapses, students are still able to submit it. However, they will be marked as late, and you'll know as the faculty member when it was submitted and how late it was. If you have a cutoff date, it will follow that. So you can keep, if you don't want to accept any of those late submissions, it will follow the cutoff date, and that way the student won't be able to submit it. So in order to put a time limit in here, you could just put in any amount of time here, but you just want to keep in mind that with our activity instructions, students are not seeing that assignment until they begin it. So in order for them to have enough time to read the instructions and understand the assignment and then actually do the assignment, you'll want to keep that in mind when you're trying to decide how much time to give them. So if we give them, let's say 30 minutes, that's how much time they'll have. And I'll show you what this looks like once we save the assignment. Here under submission types, you're telling Moodle what kind of assignment do you want to give. By default, the file submissions option is checked off because that basically just allows the students to have a box in which to upload their file, papers, things like that. If you want to use the additional online text feature, which will provide them with a box for them to put in whatever idea or text they want to say, you could check that off here and use that. For this example, we're only going to use the file submissions option. A lot of these other items here you're going to leave the way that they are, except for the accepted file types. If you have a particular type of file that you want to accept, like if you only want to accept PDF files, you can search for that here and choose that, and this assignment won't allow any other formats to be accepted. Here under feedback types, the one thing I do want to point out to you is feedback files. If you, when you're grading your students' papers, prefer to download those papers and make changes and comments in Word and upload that file back to them, you'll want to enable the feedback files option. This will allow you to read that paper and give you a box in which to upload the changed paper. So you'll want to check that off if you plan on using that. Submission settings and group submission settings are just little extras here if you want to allow students to have to do something extra in order to submit their assignment. Here under grade, this is where you're going to put the maximum grade for this assignment, and you can also put it in the grade category if you have that set up already. We do have ours set up, so we'll put this in the assignments category. And if you have a grade to pass, you can put that here as well. And keep in mind, if you are using a passing grade as activity completion criteria, this is the section in which you're going to put that passing grade. Here under restrict access and activity completion, you can enable either one of those items as always. For this particular assignment, you could even use the two in tandem if you like. Now, before we go and save this, I want to also point out the last new feature here, which is send content change notification. And what that means is anytime you make a change to this particular assignment, you can check this off and let the students be notified that something has been added to it. Previously, if you were to make changes to your Moodle page, students don't have any way of knowing that any of those changes has been made. So let's say maybe you're in class, you think of something extra that you want to add on to this assignment or an additional file you want to add. If you come into this assignment and make those changes and click this button, the student will then get a notification that something has been changed. They won't know exactly what you've changed about it, but they'll know what course it took place in and what item it took place for, so they could come and see what's different. The notifications will be sent to their email, and it'll also be sent to their Moodle notifications here in the upper corner here, upper right hand corner here. So once you're done, you're going to click Save and Return to Course. And if you go ahead and you click on our assignment 2, you're going to see all of the information here of when it's open, when it was due. When it comes time to view your grades, I'll actually show that to you in a minute. I want to show you what it looks like from a student perspective. So if I click in the upper right hand corner, I'm going to switch my role to the student role. And if I click on the assignment, which it took me right to it, you can see as a student, I can then begin the assignment. And once I begin the assignment, it tells me how long I have. I begin the assignment, I click it again. And once I press it again, I can see here in the blocks draw on the right-hand side, this is my time limit. And I can X this out as well if I want to close it. Sometimes students get nervous if they see that countdown happening. If they want to see how much time they have left, they can bring that back out. And this is where they can now see their activity instructions. They can add their submission. And then once they submit it, then that assignment will then be able to be graded by the faculty member. So if I go back to my normal role and I click on the actual submission, so I'm actually inside of it. Let me get out of here. And if you click on it and you can view all the submissions, this will show you everything that has been submitted. Any file submissions would be in this comment, and then you'll also be able to see any online text submissions as well. And if you want to view everything this way, you can, or you can also click into the actual button here that says grade, and that will then show you an example of whatever that assignment is. You could put the grade in here, and if this is one of those situations where you're going to use the feedback file, you can download the actual item here. We don't have an example right now, but the paper would be here at the top. You would download it, and then you can drag and drop it here once you've made those changes to give it back to the students. And you can grade your assignment directly in here like we did with the assignment, or you can also go into the grades here, into your grader report, find in the grader report where the assignment is and grade it in here as well. They're one and the same. So you can see how the assignment has gotten some great updates. It's definitely a useful feature for your students, and it also allows you to easily evaluate how far they've come in the course.